Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. This is our first session of the Brazil Tech Connect webinar series, which is part of the Brazil Immersion Week 2025. My name is Ricardo Vilela. I'm head of AI and digital transformation programs at the Tony Blair Institute here in Brazil, and I'll be your moderator today. And it's great to see so many participants joining from Europe, US, the UK, and Latin America. And this series of webinars is focused on helping innovators, funders, and ecosystem builders explore how to connect and collaborate, and most importantly, land successfully here in Brazil. Let me bring up the slides that we have for our. Yep, let's put that on full screen. Okay, and as I said before, the webinar kicks off the Brazil Immersion program, which will take place in Sao Paulo and Porto Alegre from 24 to the 28th of November 2025. And during that week, participants will be visiting leading innovation hubs like Cubo, Itaú, Inovabra, and Instituto Caldeira, meet Brazilian tech companies and corporates, engage with corporate innovation labs, investors, and government organizations and agencies such as Tech Secretariats, Fiesp, Apex Brazil, and Invest Rio Grande do Sul. This is going to be a unique opportunity to understand the market from inside and build the partnerships that matter. So this is the first page of our deck, including the program for Sao Paulo. These are the preliminary agenda for Porto Alegre. And don't worry, we're going to share that with you shortly after this presentation. And the next webinars that will take place over the next 3 weeks to prepare the participants for coming on board onto this delegation. And finally, before we dive in, I'd like to thank to our sponsors who make this possible, Mourão Campus Group and Franco Advogados, for their sponsorship and on-the-ground support. And not forgetting our European supporters, the EIT, European Institute of Innovation Technology, UK DBT, Department for Business and Trade, Digital Boost, Boardwave, Global Tech Connect, Tech Brazil Advocates, Funders Forum Group, and Level 39. Also, we are proud to work closely with the Brazilian partners, Instituto Caldeira, Invest Rio Grande do Sul, Invest Sao Paulo, and Tech Brazil Advocate. So let me stop my share. And just a reminder that during the session, we will open for Q&A. So if you are interested in asking any question to our speakers, please post them in the chat and we'll bring as many as we can after the discussion. But let me hand over to our first speaker, which is Sandra Sinicco. She is the director of LatamScaleUP, co-lead of the Tech Brazil Advocates and founder of the GrupoCASA. Sandra has supported over 400 companies expanding into Latin America and bring decades of experience helping global businesses land successfully across the region. Sandra, thanks for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ricardo, for having me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Filipe, also, to be here with me. I will share my screen, first of all, just a moment. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's up.
It has, it's completely clear for you, or it has some signals over it, or no?
No, it's very clear, Sandra. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, everybody. This presentation is a very basic one regarding giving some tips about how to connect with our ecosystem here in Brazil. So first of all, I would like to present you some facts and figures that are very important. So we speak Portuguese, but it's not the same Portuguese as in Portugal, which people sometimes misunderstand that we speak the same as Portugal. We understand Portugal, but we're not the same. And there are some wordings that are completely different. We are this country is a mixture of people from Portugal, African countries, Europe, Japan, local indigenous, Spanish-speaking Latin Americans, etc. And so it's a patchwork of nationalities. So if you see, oh, I'm Brazilian, you see someone saying Brazil. Brazil depends in which region you are and which aspect are you addressing to people. So you find that people here all speak Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, but they come very often from different cultures. So it's a mixture, a very, very strong mixture of cultures. The size is huge, and São Paulo, for example, is the size of United Kingdom, 2.7 times bigger than Portugal, etc. So the economy of São Paulo, for example, is compared to the one in Switzerland or Taiwan, no? And so we have 220 million inhabitants, 179 million WhatsApp users, 180 million internet users, and most of startups of all the region in Latin America, they are from Brazil. We have around 1,800 startups, almost 20,000, and the numbers here are every time around over 18,000 startups distributed across technology and innovation hubs in all regions of the country, but São Paulo, Florianópolis, Belo Horizonte, Recife, Curitiba, they stand as leaders in the country. So you see here, there's a map of the innovation done by the National Confederation of Industry, where you see a concentration of startups here in the southeast part of the country. But there are also other hubs that are very, very important and that you need to consider depending on the area, the vertical that you are working on. This ecosystem has been strengthened thanks to a combination of large-scale domestic market and increasingly coordinated public-private support networks. So innovation hubs are emerging in all regions, as well as groups that integrate universities, VCs, open innovation programs, companies, and hubs. We are now in a wave, the starting of a wave of a new level of integration in innovation and technology development. This is just to tell you how important it is to connect through WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is really a big, big connector in the country, among others. And our ecosystem, like other countries in the world, we faced a winter of startups from 21 on. But the ecosystem showed strong resilience, and it kept growing. And we see that we have all the players that need to be inside it. So we are prepared to grow and grow faster, grow more. So these are the numbers more or less regarding the big numbers, 20,000 startups in Brazil. We feel that the structure is here, but the uncertainty that you need to consider also that in the next year, we're going to have elections, presidential elections, which can impact the public policies and important areas. So there are many, many things to change here in the country and to improve, and that need consistency and long-term planning. For example, we see that deep tech is a very important area here, that now it's a very major focus here. It's grounded and founded by and funded by governmental funds. More than over 50% of the investments in this strategic area come from the government, and we need to change it to private sector. So this kind of strategies and the way of doing that is in the move nowadays, but it needs a very planned strategy. So we don't know if by changing the government or something happens, maybe it could be affected in the next few years. But things seem to go very in a very resilient way. So then the country has, as I said, a structure that is very well formed and structured, but we need to move and invest every day more. So there are many gaps, and these gaps can be supported by and fulfilled by connecting with countries, funding from abroad, startups coming here from abroad, and our startups connecting with foreign countries. There are many players here focusing on that. So if you see the ecosystem as a whole, comparing with other ecosystems in the world, São Paulo per se has a position of the 37th position, but you need to consider that São Paulo is not the only one, and we have here a lot of players depending on the area of activity that you are looking for. So from the historic point of view, the Southeast attracted and concentrated the majority of Brazilian industries. So because of its strategic location, proximity to the Port of Santos, like São Paulo, and strong initial infrastructure, this made the development of the industrial sectors. No? So this process generated a virtuous cycle, attracting further investment and labor. So the growth of the industry and the job opportunities in the Southeast led to a large migratory flow from other regions of the country, especially the Northeast, to the South. So this migration increased the available workforce, further boosting the region's growth and urbanization. So infrastructure and people and capital are concentrated in the southeast part, but this doesn't mean that the other areas of the regions of the country are not valuable, not worthy. Regarding the areas of expertise, we see that the persistent dominance of fintech, together with the emergency and growth of agritech and biotechnology, signals a deliberate and strategic specialization with Brazil's startup ecosystem. This is not merely organic growth across all sectors. Rather, it reflects the intentional leverage of Brazil's inherent economic strength. So its vast financial markets and its status as global agricultural powerhouse through targeted technological innovation. So the sectoral focus creates a distinct comparative advantage, enabling the ecosystem to attract specialized investment and talents while fostering deeper and more sustainable innovation in these high potential industries. We do have per industry, per vertical, this kind of comparison. So you see, I don't know if you can see because it's very small, but you see that, for example, agri-tech is concentrated in the southern part and the central east part of Brazil, for example. Now, retail tech in different areas. So you can see here the distribution of the verticals through the country, that is a continent nowadays. Now. And per maturity, the startup sectors, you can see that fintech is the most mature one, but it's followed by several others. So the number, according to data from the Brazilian Association of Private Equity and Venture Capital, the BVCAP, which you should connect with, and KPMG, we see that almost 320 venture capital funds are currently operating in Brazil. This is more or less 320. And you need to consider that this is both international and domestic funds. So, of this total, around 210 are only national capital funds, while the remainder are foreign investors with a local presence and co-investments partnerships. So, and most of them are also in São Paulo. So the challenges, what are the challenges that we have here? All these players that are popping up around the country, lack of connection among themselves. So one of the key things here in Brazil is to figure out how to connect with the right player, with the right partner that will drive you to the right person in order to expand your company in the region. So because the sectors and the players did not establish a collaborative ecosystem, we see that this lack of connection makes it mandatory to connect with people. So you need to trust people here, not only this system. The system is trying to connect itself, is working on that, but it's not totally connected. And connecting with people here in Brazil is very, very important. And having a relationship with people is important for because of two facts. One is that Brazilians like to connect with each other, like to interact, and the system is not well connected by itself. So if one is trying to or thinking about going to Brazil, first of all, this company needs to understand our culture and study a lot about Brazil. How do we do business? The timings. And you need to find someone that understands your culture and understands this culture here. So someone that acts like a bridge and a truthful bridge. So, and this company or person needs to have experience in doing business in Brazil. I'm not talking about a consultant, a theoretical one. I'm talking about a person that really had a company or managed a company and understands the tricky parts of doing business in Brazil. You need to connect with networks. There are many, many networks. They're very important and they help you. They help you a lot, like in other countries also. No? And another thing that's very, very important is to to build up a relationship, a trustable relationship with this person, not only a relation that is driving tasks and mainly KPIs, but giving this person or this company the freedom to interact and to bring you the problems of our culture and to build up a partnership in order to bring you to the country, do a soft landing. When someone comes here to Brazil trying to impose a culture or a way of doing business is the same of in Europe or the United States or whatever, normally it won't be successful and it will take longer. That's why also the transparency of talking to each other, the relationship with transparency will build up a strong and resilient connection with this person. So trust is something very important, very, very important. I'm not talking just about a professional person that we do have lots of professionals here, but it's about building trust and together and respect the timings. The timings here are different than some other countries. So just to give you an example, we have a network here in Brazil called Tech Brazil Advocates, which is a network of 1,000 that work in innovation, with the technology, work in the government, work in the private sector, consultants, etc. It's an NGO. And what we do like to do is to help people that want to connect with the system and the country here. All over the world, we are 50,000 persons, professionals, and we help people, companies to expand abroad in a very informal way by connecting these persons and these entrepreneurs with other people. It's very important to connect with this network of people because they really value and have a value. So here are the countries where we are. I don't know if you can see we are here, Brazil. And I think that Brazil, it's not an easy country to expand to, but it's worthy. The country is big. There are lots of opportunities, and it's really relevant, and also it's relevant to also start your journey in all Latin America. So thank you very much. I think I talked too much, and I have all these QR codes. They drive you to different studies and information about how to do business in Brazil, and more detailed things about financial, taxes, and other things. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sandra. You didn't speak much whatsoever. We can stay here listening you for the whole afternoon. But everyone agreed that it's absolutely fantastic information to reduce risk and increase the chances of success when entering in Brazil through the right local partnerships, market validation strategies. I love the fact that you brought these cultural nuances, and particularly the fact that you highlighted that WhatsApp is one of the main communication channels here in Brazil, different than other countries where they tend to, transaction over email, iMessage, and so on. So over to our next guest. So Filipe Martins Gomes, he's a principal innovation solution consultant at the Digital Catapult in the UK. Filipe has almost 20 years of experience designing and leading international innovation programs and is deeply familiar with the European and the Latin American ecosystem. Today, he will share a practical view in Brazil's innovation landscape. So without further ado, over to you, Filipe.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Ricardo, Sandra, the Brazil Tech Connect team where I'm also an advisor, and also great to see this combination of different hubs, the tech advocates coming along as well, as I'm also connected to these networks. So just to the point that there is a key aspect of being engaged in those networks, especially when you're thinking about internationalization and exploring new markets and so on. I'm gonna do a quick introduction overall about my journey. The idea is that I can bring a little bit more practical perspective in someone that took business and internationalized from Brazil to another countries and then to the UK, but then also tried and then worked in a different direction from the UK to Brazil in our expansion to new markets with our AI startup. And then we can also open for key questions and then we can navigate through it. As Ricardo said, now I'm the principal innovation solutions consultant at Digital Catapult. Digital Catapult is a private organization in the UK, very focused on emerging tech, deep techs, and help to develop an ecosystem in the UK, in Brazil, in other countries. We have similar kind of organizations that does the same role. And then I think even considering Brazil, it's important to map those organizations, those intermediary organizations. They can be an incredible platform for you to do soft landing into those new markets. Prior to my role at Digital Catapult, work with some startups and deep techs, help them to expand, fundraise, and then explore new markets, as I'm going to bring in a specific example. But then also had experience with large corporations. I worked at Barclays, looking to venture studios, helping to build a fintech ecosystem that would engage directly with the bank. Previous also worked and lived in Saudi Arabia, working for Aramco in the energy sector, very similar in this innovation management role and helping the organization to look internally, but also engaging externally with the ecosystem. And then have been working with government. I worked with Apex that Sandra mentioned and Ricardo mentioned before as well here, and then other organizations in Brazil, in other countries. So this is a bit more about me, about myself. Regarding the key points of the conversations today, so I just want to highlight some of the key aspects. Why Brazil? So and then why is important. Is it great that you guys are considering expanding to Brazil? First of all, Brazil is a very dynamic, fast-paced, changing environment, very challenging as well, as you have been hearing from Sandra and potentially previous research that you have done. Is a huge geography, is a country with the size of a continent, with differences between different regions, different ways and to navigate in those regions as well. And then as you saw in the map that Sandra brought up, there are different areas of concentrations in terms of hubs, businesses, where potentially can connect with different opportunities for each of you when you're thinking about Brazil as an ecosystem. A key aspect, and then that's connecting to the journey that I went through into exploring Brazil as a path to a company that I was supporting to grow, is that it's a good moment in Brazil. As many challenges there are also good inputs in terms of what's happening with new industrialization and innovation programs coming from the government, helping to develop different regions to create more opportunity for business. The hubs in Brazil have been moving into this network of connection, not just within the country, but through the country internationally. So creating pathways for business to move and generate value in a very dynamic way. And that was the key reasons why in my last role, looking into a strategy and expansion for AI startup, Brazil couldn't be missed in the map. Yeah, so I think the size of the market, the pool of talent, Brazil is a huge pool of talent that can help you to grow and to expand. Can be very strategic in terms of how you resource the development of the next phase of the expansion of your company. but elements of geography matters, and then the aspects of localizing and really understanding where your solution fits is also important. So I think in terms of the steps, just to give you a context, the startup that I was working is a startup with established product, working with large organizations, selling and moving into a Series A fundraising. My role as a senior strategist was to support the CEO and the senior strategy and management team to look into the fundraising, but also the expansion after the fundraising. And then we were looking 3 different markets for phase 2 after fundraising, and was US and then Brazil and Latin America, but through Brazil, and then Middle East as another territory of connections, because of we already have clients in that specific region. So that was the key 3 drivers. But looking into similar strategy for 3 different geographies, but narrowing down to the specific Brazil, key elements was make sure that we did a good deep dive into the Brazil and then updated, even as a Brazilian, that this is a piece of a proximity of the cultural aspect that Sandra highlighted, but the updaters and see and understand what exactly is happening in this very dynamic, fast-paced economy it was a key and very important aspect to validate. And that being very objective and practical into the journey was lots of desk research, lots of market sizing, report reading, and then also direct engagement. The people element that the group highlighted here is so key. Find those individuals and all those organizations, like those hubs that you already connected, that can help you to reduce uncertainty, get first-hand information, understand a little bit more, and then bring the questions for you to start to pivot your strategy or define your strategy and get into the market was key. So that was the second part of the process in looking to Brazil, was re-engaging with the network in Brazil, mapping and identifying these key potential partners with different roles. Some of the partners that we start to engage was people that will come in with information to give a sense of what was the fit with our AI platform into, let's say, legal tech. And then what was the potential collaboration that could take in place in that specific angle. Some other potential partners is what is the actual where we should land, how is the dynamic for our business, and that was starting to lead in terms of really moving to the strategy market size aspects. And then Brazil is continental, as you know, and then even the exercise that normally potentially you guys already done, and then you have to do when we moving into growing a business that is market sizing, sum, and then this is needed to be done specific to Brazil. You can look in Brazil and then look into this total addressable market, but then also see from the dynamic of the size of the market where your business best fits, because I'm sure that even if you look into the addressable part of it, you could make your business grow even if it's not in the hot spot of the map, meaning São Paulo in the southeast of Brazil. Now, there is a distribution that you should analyze in terms of the fit for your business. So I think that was a really key learning, because even in the exploration for that that path in terms of exploring Brazil, the south of Brazil raised into a really key area that we could consider in terms of where to establish the operation of the company. And it's great to know that you guys going to this mission, there is already this engagement in the plan to visit Caldeira and other hubs in the south of Brazil. The fact that you guys are going to go to Cubo in São Paulo, in São Paulo, and be able to see that dynamic where different players comes into those channels is also really important. I think that also the other aspect that I want to highlight is the importance to have an iterative approach into building your internationalization strategy, because every single new piece of inputs in this information will help you to reframe or make stronger, and take decisions. Yeah, your decision-making process into how fast you go or you don't go, or how much more information you need to gather into this process is also key. I will start to go to the end of my talk because I really want to open the mic so you guys can ask questions, and then we can go in a bit more detail. But key elements is a good moment in Brazil. Even with these elections coming, there are things that are interactions with structured policies to attract international investment and then business to Brazil. There was a call from BNDES, the Brazilian Bank of Development, with FINEP recently to attract research and development in innovation initiatives to the country, and that is a good opportunity for you guys to plug into and then find the right local partners into it. Again, Brazil is an amazing pool of talent, is a huge market, and then in terms of paths, what I suggest is even if it's initially and then you narrow down later, think as a portfolio of paths. That is not one size fits all path to get into Brazil. I think there is a possibility for you to mix and match different kind of engagements with the Brazilian market. There is opportunities to do direct sales depending on your business and the solution that you have, the team that you have, and how culturally close you already are for that specific market. Partnerships is another key path for you to bring together complementary business together in different sizes, but then to explore, and that can really speed up the process into operating in Brazil and testing the market with real data, potential joint ventures, representation into the country. These are all things that potentially you already know, but then also the investment path. I have been engaging recently with lots of VCs in Brazil. And then I think there is a key moment now that there is this public-private funds that is taking place, and then attracting the right startups to connect and help to develop the ecosystem there is also an opportunity. And then also the public fund aspect, you should also look and investigate which of those calls you're potentially eligible, and then who those partners that you start to map could be the ones that will be the enablers for you to access those public funds, because some of those will require you to be already on operation in Brazil. You have registered there, and there is a bit more operational stuff. So just to put some glance there, that was the key intention here. I really keen to hear more from you, what kind of questions you have, and then maybe where you are in your journey.
Thanks, Filipe. That's very, very insightful. This perspective that you brought, sharing a bit of the practical angle of and best practices into the Brazilian market is very, very important. And I like the fact that you highlighted that we are going to the south of Brazil, which is different from the usual suspects, right? International delegations coming to Brazil, they visit Sao Paulo, Rio. So the fact that the Brazil Tech Connect is really keen to explore opportunities outside of these crowded environments makes a huge difference. And before we dive into the questions, I'd like to ask the participants to type in on the chat box your questions so we can ask our participants. But I think I had one that was sent over my LinkedIn, which from a participant that connected with me, and it was very complimentary about the presentation. And is asking for whether the presentation will be shared, the slides that Sandra and myself shared with you. Yes, we will share that shortly after. And this recording will be uploaded onto the Brazil Tech Connect YouTube channel, and we're going to share the link with you after this session. So opening for the question, the person asked, Sandra, could you please elaborate what strategies the founders entering Brazil should prioritize? If you can rank them in sort of a list, that would be great. Thank you. I think you're on mute, Sandra.
sorry. It depends really on the sector that you want to connect with or you're working on. But first of all, if it's deep tech or a company that works with research or scientists, I would connect with the ecosystem, the university ecosystem that is very, very strong here, and with an association called Amprotech. Amprotech is very interesting because it connects all the public and institutional ecosystems that are connected with research and invest a lot and have this all ecosystem with funds, with venture capitals, with CVCs, etc. Also, and the university, the university. So by starting from them, you can move on and then find out your path. If you're looking at expanding an app or something that's B2C, then you need to connect with associations, local associations. But some of them, they don't. They are not well organized in the technology area. Some of them. It depends really on the. So you will need to connect with groups of angel investors, startup groups that are in the hubs like Cubo or the one in Recife that's very good also. I don't remember the name, but
Porto Digital.
Porto
Digital.
That's
Digital.
from
And then
Filipe's hometown.
yes, Porto Digital with Silvio Meira. And then you have also in the Amazon, in Manaus and Belém, a lot of hubs in Amapá, with the Startups Association, Brazilian Startup Association. And it depends really, really on the area where you are. But connecting with people, first of all, it's, in my opinion, the fastest and the best way to connect. If you just send, for example, this is real life. When you send an email to an institution here in Brazil, nobody will answer. It's very difficult to get an answer. And so what you do is to connect through LinkedIn to the associations, call them, and then someone will help you in some way, and then from there you go. So the system is not well connected yet, neither the structure. So there is an importance, and it's another very important thing. Most of Brazilians, they don't feel very, they don't speak English, most of them. So you need to connect with them. You speak English. So you need to connect with the associations that have an international like footstep in order to follow and then connect with the right people. Obviously, in the tech sector, there are many, many people that speak English, but English is not the language that we speak very often. So even if we are a mixture of so many nationalities, but most of people here speak Portuguese. They don't speak even Spanish, okay? So you need to consider that the language is a barrier also.
Thanks,
Okay.
Sandra. Thanks. That's very, very great to hear. Another question here, and this one I'll fire to Filipe. Filipe, on your opinion, what are the sectors most ready for international collaboration in 2025 and beyond?
Well, I think in the world now is everything AI. Yeah. So any layer that connected with AI, I think not just from the buzzword, but it's a good momentum. If there is anything related to data and then to LLMs in a way applied to several different industries. But looking into specific Brazil, there are key areas of interest from the Brazil, and then I think you should take those signs into your decision. That is, what's the name? A NIB, a new industrial Brazilian policy. And that defines well what are the priority areas in terms of industries. I see here in the chat that one question is about agri. I think that's one of the questions, agriculture. So that's one of the key areas of investment that is being keen in terms of pushing into industrialization and in connection with the with the whole ecosystem, lots of opportunities there. Overall, manufacturing is also a key area. So looking at these competitor advantage for Brazil. Fintechs, as Sandra highlighted, and the financial services in Brazil is really strong, very innovative. There are benchmarks from Brazil to other countries with things that the Brazilian banking systems are able to deploy that other countries still don't. It's not as agile into deploying. So I would kind of highlight these three areas, considering that there is this high level, maybe a cross layer that is anything AI, pool AI, or leveraging some of agility with AI could be good. And then Ricardo, just to address one of the points, for those that are concerned in terms of the areas that would be focused on the mission or with the program, you shouldn't be. I think with the São Paulo being where you guys are going to land initially, we'll give you this overall perspective. Where are the opportunities in key industries? Even the fact that you're going to engage through Kubo, and then lots of those organizations in different sectors, they will be there from agriculture, fintech, from chemical industries, from energy, so in different sectors. We'll have the large organizations, the potential clients, also the intermediaries and the smaller business that could be your partners. They will be there, as they're going to be in Caldera, that is also connected to Kubo, and then with these other players. And then also you can leverage the network. You can have Sandra, you have us, you have the Brazil Tech Connect to really see who you can engage through this dynamic agenda.
Well, just to add, the agri-tech area is very, very well organized here. Well, it's normal because we are a big producer, so we do have a lot of players, a lot of associations and organizations, so it won't be difficult to find out connections. And if you have a specific area from agri that you want to connect to, please tell us. And I think the people from Brazil Tech Connect will drive, or we can help also. No problem regarding that.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Filipe. Yeah, just want to highlight that if the perception is that the programs focus on investment, it's really the opposite. We are really focusing on, giving the market overview for everyone, fostering this networking and the business matchmaking meetings. That's why we are working focused on the participants that has confirmed attendance in the mission, so we can prepare separate B2B meetings for them in order for them to make the most of this opportunity. So we didn't have the name for this question, but I think someone is typing in another question. But let me fire another one for, just come up. Russell, so would you advocate focus on just on one vertical rather than trying to promote to multiple sectors at the beginning of attempting to grow the businesses? What I am hearing is very fragmented territory. So Sandra, Filipe, who would like to take that one?
The problem is, just a moment, I would like to understand the question. Focusing on just one vertical rather than trying to promote multiple sectors.
I can start. Sorry, go, Sandra.
No, yeah, because I don't understand really if you are an association or if you are a company. Obviously your focus and your targeted area, no? I think. I don't know if you can be more specific, but normally the focal point is the best way to start digging into the market. It's so complex, it's so big that a focal point will be AI, retail, transport, and hospitality. We are manufacturer or electronic hardware. Okay, so in this case, I think, Filipe, if you want to answer, but I would rather connect with this three specific areas, and there are connections among them. Okay, and the way to find it is to connect with the first one. So if you are only in retail, but retail also means that you have to have a solution to, because the increase of shopping, e-commerce shopping is so big here in Brazil nowadays that people are used to buy through the e-commerce. So are you talking about the local retail physical stores or stores with that are in the platforms? So it depends really on what you want to connect with, and we have the possibility to indicate you to one or the other. They're not the same. They are different groups of networks that dig into the specifics of each one of it. Or hospitality is the same. If you're talking about hotels or I don't know, hospitals, even hospitals or whatever, or Airbnb, you need to connect with the right sector. No?
Just complementing and your answer, Sandra. Well, that's my perspective would be, if you have a solution that is applicable or you could sell for different verticals, I think in the initial phase, because of, again, the size of Brazil, elements of fragmentation in the territory as well, I would test and try in parallel where are the traction initially coming from. And then once you start to get the initial signs of traction, then I would double down in that specific vertical. So you could create a specific case study for you to really learn about the Brazilian market. And then after, in the second moment, it would be much easier for you to pivot or to expand to other verticals. But I feel that I think it's for one point, be agile, iterative in your approach to investigate and then go through the market. And then I do relate a lot to these because in my experience, my previous experience, the solution that we had was for different sectors. We could go in different directions, and then we trigger the exploration with different of those sectors. We look into manufacturing, we look into healthcare, we look into fintech or financial services. And then once the sign was there, we could do a little bit more focus and then start to go into the right conversations to go to the market.
That's great.
Yes,
Thanks.
just to highlight,
Yep.
I was responsible for landing Move It here in Brazil. Move It is app for public transportation. And at the first moment, we thought, wow, it's very easy. We just do a marketing campaigns, everybody would download, etc. The problem was not that the problem was that the buses didn't have GPS in São Paulo at the beginning. So we had to refurbish everything and go to the mayor, and then, wow, there was a lot of things. So sometimes the lack of infrastructure makes you change the solution, and then you need to dig a little bit further and understand what is the problem, local problem. That's why I always say, be careful and pay attention of our country, the characteristics, what we have, because in this way you won't lose time and money. And so you dig into the marketing with the right approach. Be very careful, because we're not Europe, we're not Africa, we're not United States, we're Brazil.
Thanks, Sandra. That's very important to highlight. So we have a final question here from Odila. We are running almost out of time. So will the program also include opportunity to engage with the public sector organization, particularly education field, which is my primary area of focus? Yes, indeed. So both in Sao Paulo and Porto Alegre will be able to connect your company with both the state secretariats of education as well as the municipality. So you can have both views, and we are happy to take further questions after that. So we'd like to thank you, our speakers, our wonderful speakers for today. Very insightful discussions. Thanks, Sandra and Filipe, for your contributions. And obviously, everyone, Sandra and Filipe, they are partners of Brazil Tech Connect, and they will be more than help to connect and support you through this journey exploring the Brazil opportunities. So as we wrap up this session, we really want to give an overview of the Brazil innovation ecosystem and the key opportunities. And today's conversation was just the beginning. We will continue in our next webinars leading up to the Immersion Week with the following sessions. Coming up next, Session 2 will be on the 6th of November with entry strategies, regulatory framework, and tax incentives. Session 3 on the 11th of November, doing business in Brazil, partnerships, business opportunities, and cultural considerations. Session 4 on the 18th of November, which will be the final initial briefing to discuss all the information around the logistics and etc. But both myself, Iraklis, and Angela, we are ready to clarify any questions regarding all the details involving this mission. So like to share my screen once again to thank you, our sponsors. 1 second. Okay, there it is. And once again, thank to our sponsors, Mourão Campus Group and Franco Advogados, and to our supporters both in Europe and Brazil, and of course to our great speakers of the day, Sandra Sinicco and Filipe Martins Gomes, for sharing these amazing insights. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session. See you next time.